Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Stock Market Show. This is your host, Shades. In this video, we're going to go over RGTI. This is something I want to talk about that's very important. Please watch till the end. This is very important for you guys, especially the beginners, the newer people here. Stocks don't go down forever, just like stocks don't go up forever. I'm telling you this because there are a lot of signs in the market that we could start coming on down real cheap. I'm going to show you a bunch of charts right now of stocks that I've talked about in the past that have skyrocketed hundreds of percentages, and then something happened. They stopped going up and they started coming on down nice and cheap. The first example I want to show you, and I want you to be prepared for this so you're not caught off guard, so that you're not surprised when this happens. So I'm going to start with Sybil stock here. It's a penny stock. You can see it pumps. Everyone gets excited. People were calling me an idiot, telling me you don't know how to trade. This is going to go to $1 because it works with the Department of Defense and it keeps getting contracts. And they were telling me this is going to break 2 cents and go to the moon. And I remember telling everyone, no, stocks don't go up forever, let alone penny stocks. It's going to come on down nice and cheap, and we're going to buy at the bottom, which I have marked here in this yellow rectangle. Those people were wrong. It eventually came back down nice and cheap and bottomed out. Okay, first example. Second example, AITX, same story. You're going to start to see a pattern here, and I hope you learn from this. I try every video I make, I try to make it a lesson that can be learned from beginners, because I've been there. I know what it's like to be a beginner. I've made these mistakes before. Stock ran 300%. People thought it was going to go to the moon. Came right back down to this bottom where we loaded up again. Ran to 1 penny. We took our profit. Came right back down. You know, it has plenty of pumps throughout the year. It's an AI stock. So it's a very good stock to abuse when you buy at the bottom, which I'm already loaded up. I'm just holding it for the next pump, which it can take months. Just wanted to show you another example. Okay, it's almost, you're seeing the pattern, right? Like, it's almost like they pump and then they dump. Tilray Brands, another stock that had a bottom, but it recently broke down when Trump won November 5th, right? Yeah, Trump won the election, and for some reason, wheat stocks started dumping and broke down below support, below the bottom. So I kind of was like, well, I don't know why, but sure, I'm just not going to buy it because it doesn't make sense. Trump won and Tilray decided to break below support. But before that, it was pumping and dumping, pumping and dumping. We abused and took advantage of that. Let's see if we can, do I need to keep going? GameStop. $60 comes back down to 20. I remember telling people it's going to come back down to 20. People love it at 20. Don't chase it at 40 or 30. Wait for 20. And of course, there's always going to be those people that tell me, no, you're wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. Comes right back down to 20. Comes right back down to 20. Comes right back down to 20. Guess what? I'm waiting for 20. SoundHound. SoundHound, an even better example. Back then, when Nvidia announced its investment in SoundHound, ran to $10. People thought it was going to go to the moon. Came right back down to $3 to $4. Found a bottom here, and we were swing trading the hell out of it from the bottom until it broke out to new highs. So what am I showing you? I'm showing you that this is how the market is. Things don't go up forever. Eventually, there will be plenty of profit taking after a huge run up, and the stock will find a new bottom wherever that may be. I don't think it's going to come back down to 66 cents ever again. That's not happening. I think there's going to be plenty of people who are going to hold long. Those people holding long, when the price of this stock gets real cheap, they're going to step in. I don't know where that's going to be. We don't know. People were asking me, hey, how cheap do you think this is going to get? I don't know. If I knew, I mean, we'd be if you could predict stuff like that and be accurate 100% of the time, I mean, it's just, that's not realistic. So whenever people ask me, hey, how cheap do you think this is going to get? I don't know. Let the stock market reveal that for you. It'll reveal it. I just showed you plenty of examples where the stock market, after a huge run up on some of these stocks, they came back down nice and cheap, bottomed out, because buyers love it at those price points, and that's when you want to buy. That's why I have this logo here Patience, discipline, big bottoms. Slap that big ass at the big bottom. You have to wait and be patient. It can take months for it to bottom out, but when it does, you'll know you'll be buying as cheap as possible. And I'm telling you this because at some point this can't continue, right? I know some of you are going to disagree. No, it's going to go to the moon. Trust me, I just showed you examples. I just told you. So many people called me a moron because I said no, this is going to eventually come back down nice and cheap. I just showed you so many examples of stocks that came back down nice and cheap. I can continue. I have a whole bunch of those. Let me see. There's one more. Where's Serve Robotics? Same thing. I remember when this one hit 24, and I'm like, hey guys, be careful. It could, bottom out somewhere. It could start tanking. And it took from July 30 to September 10 to finally find a bottom down here at $7 to $8. Took a couple months, right? But it bottomed out. Every time it comes under 8, you buy, and it's easy money, right? But what's required to take advantage of this bottom that will eventually reveal itself and form? Patience and discipline. I just showed you it takes months. But at least you'll get it nice and cheap. Because I know people have been asking me, hey, if you think this is going to come down, how cheap do you think it's going to get? I don't know. But what I do know is this is a pattern in the market. You got to give it a couple of weeks, maybe a month or two, depending on the volatility of the stock. It will come down nice and cheap. It will settle down somewhere at some price point. You'll know that because it will reveal itself like I've shown you on plenty of charts now. This is a pattern. This pattern never changes. I don't know why it is the way it is, right? But we want to take advantage when it's cheap, not when it's too expensive. And we're in a bull market. Remember that. In a bear market, it's different. Things just keep going cheaper and cheaper. The dip keeps on dipping. There's no bottom until we've actually come to the end of the bear market. But that's a whole nother story. I don't think we're going into a bear market just yet. There's no confirmation of that. So the point of this video, more so for beginners and new investors, if you want to get in as cheap as possible, wait for the bottom to reveal itself. It will reveal itself. I just showed you multiple occasions where a stock pumped hundreds of percentages, eventually found a bottom. And that's where you want to load nice and cheap. That's not to say you can't average down, absolutely. But if you want to get the best bang for your buck, get in as cheap as possible, wait for that bottom. Because too many people make the mistake of chasing tops, not having a stop loss. Better to get stopped out, and then if it bottoms out at $6, because I just showed you Serve Robotics hit a high of 24, came down as cheap as $8 before running to 20 plus again. Or did it hit 20? Let me check. Again, I'm just showing you examples in the market. It hit almost 20, 18, 20, 42. So wait for that bottom to reveal itself. I'll talk about it when it gets there, but it's going to take time. I'm not saying it's going to start tanking tomorrow, but a lot of people have been saying that, it's looking a little bit, like we could start coming down. Things don't go up forever. That's just how it is. I agree. I agree that if buyers don't step in tomorrow and we start seeing red candles for the rest of the week, that's it. It's just a matter of waiting for the bottom to reveal itself. So we'll see. Buyers, I said this in yesterday's video. Buyers have to no, not yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday. I said buyers have to step in. If buyers don't show up, guess what happens? Sellers take control, we start coming down. And sellers, when they're done selling, we find the bottom. And we take advantage, we buy in nice and cheap. I don't want you guys to buy at the most expensive. I want you to buy as cheap as possible. And that's the point of the video. So I just want you to be prepared ahead of time. Again, I'm not saying this is happening tomorrow. I'm just saying that when it does inevitably happen, you're ready for it. You're going to be like, hey, looks like we found the top. Looks like we're coming on down nice and cheap. Let me sit back in my chair, wait for it to wait for that bottom to reveal itself. I'll buy in where shades, because I'm going to talk about it. As soon as it bottoms out, after retracing all of this move here, or most of it, or 50% of it, I'm going to talk about it and tell you, see guys, I told you, and I'm going to be correct, because I just showed you again. You kind of can't deny that I just showed you proof. Like this happens in the markets all the time. So please be very careful in terms of lump summing too much of a position into one of these stocks when they're at the most expensive. Wait for it to come down nice and cheap. And I know some of you are going to disagree and say, well, what if it keeps going? What if it goes to 100 or 1,000 or whatever? Then add a little bit, but don't go, big. Relax. Anyways, you're probably watching this video on Monday morning because I'm going to upload this for 5 a.m. in the morning before market open. So yeah, but I'm making this video now on Sunday at 12 p.m. So that's kind of funny, but we'll see how the market moves. It's going to be a very interesting week. Buyers have to show up. If they don't, we start tanking. And that's fine. Be grateful for the opportunity to add nice and cheap. That's the point. Whether it's AITX, whether it's Sybil, whether it's GameStop at $20, whatever it may be, there's always a stock that's going to come down nice and cheap for you. And the ones who get rewarded are the ones who waited. People have been asking me, should I buy GME at 30? No. It went to 60, came down to 20. Just wait for 20. It's going to take time. I know, I get it. You want an elevator straight to 20. But that's not how it works. If you have patience and discipline in the markets, you are rewarded. That's how it's always been. That is it for the video. Please, this is again for beginners more than anything. I hope you like write this down. Take lessons. Learn something from this, because I've been there. I've been a beginner. I've made mistakes. I've held bags. That's how I learned. But I hope that someone watching this who's a beginner goes, you know what? I'm going to listen to this guy. I'm going to take his advice. I'm going to exercise patience and discipline. Because I didn't have that back then. But now I do, because I see, like, if you don't have patience and discipline, you get destroyed. Because you end up buying, up here, thinking it's going to go to the moon. And then it comes down. And history repeats itself. There's always going to be suckers in the market. Don't be a sucker. Don't be a sucker that buys at 2 cents thinking it's going to go to dollars. Woo! Like, don't be like that. Break that mentality. And start being a winner. You never want to chase. And if you do, have a stop loss. Have a strategy. But the best time to buy will always be at the bottom. And you should check out my other plays on this channel. There's plenty of bottoms there's always a bottom somewhere, just like there's always a runner. And I'll see you guys in the next one. I want you to really think about what I just said. There's always a bottom somewhere, and there's always a runner. You will always have an opportunity to make money in the markets.